Hello guys, now we are on chapter 10 practice quiz. Come the quick revision of chapter 10. Chapter 10 title is The Cluster of Blessings Brought by the Bodhisattva of the Earth. So we are going to talk about the Bodhisattva of the Earth in this chapter. I have prepared some quiz. Let's go through quiz and through that let's understand the essence of the chapter. So the fundamental objective of the Lotus Sutra is revitalizing people from within and creating a peaceful world. So Lotus Sutra was preached by Gautam Buddha, by Shakyamuni Buddha, to make everyone equal to himself. So Lotus Sutra was revolutionary in many ways. It was the first time it was told in Lotus Sutra that women can also attain Buddhahood. You can attain Buddhahood in this lifetime only. You need not to, and the 10 worlds concept. You need not to go from step one to step two to step two and to step three in a sequential order. You can directly jump from one to another world with the help of mutual possession of 10 worlds. The entrustment process happened in Lotus Sutra, so it's highly significant. However, the common denominator, why all these activities are happening was to make sure the people get awakened from within and create a peaceful world. That is what Kosundufu is, right? And that was one great reason to awaken people and to create happiness. That is a one great reason the Buddha appeared in the world, right? Who is entrusted with accomplishing the Lotus Sutra objective in the latter day? So Bodhisattva of the earth. So in Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha talked about a great vow, and that vow was taken by Bodhisattva of the earth, right? Now, what happens if one misses the key point of this chapter? Then, if we are not understanding the fundamental reason the Lotus Sutra was preached, then we are missing out on the the entire Lotus Sutra for that matter. If we don't understand the function of Lotus Sutra, the purpose of Lotus Sutra getting preached was that everyone can become equal to Buddha. Then you are missing the key point. Then even if you study Lotus Sutra 100 times, then it is not going to be beneficial. The mission of Bodhisattva of the earth is defined by imparting hope and awakening Buddha nature in people in later day of the law. So that is what Bodhisattvas of the earth was task was assigned to. Bodhisattva of the earth. So why is it so? Why Bodhisattva of the earth? So Bodhisattva of the earth had multiple qualities that we discussed in the earlier chapter also, right? That Bodhisattvas of the earth has a power of wisdom, they have power of faith, they have power of heart, right? And they can substitute faith for the wisdom, and they have a power of practice. Power of faith and power of heart are same thing. So power of practice, because by design they are disciple of Bodhisattva superior practice who was their leader. So they are the one who can do practice in the best manner, as Bodhisattvas of the earth can do practice in the best manner. That means what, they will persevere and they will never take a rest till the time the Kosen Rufu is achieved. So they will persevere in conducting one-on-one dialogue, and they will never give up on others. So that is the quality of the Bodhisattvas of the earth. Their defining belief is that all people inherently possess good and Buddha nature. So that is what the heart of Bodhisattva, never disparaging as well, who is to bow down to everyone, no matter whether they are following Buddhism or not. And he used to tell that you are worthy of respect because you are Buddha, and you all will become Buddha. So even people used to stone, but he didn't begrudge his life, and he continued to do that same. So that is a belief the Bodhisattvas of the earth also have, that when they conduct a dialogue, when they chant for someone, when they chant to turn around the situation for themselves and for others, at that point of time they have a complete belief and understanding that they inherently possess Buddhahood, and the other person also possess the Buddhahood. The leader of the Bodhisattvas of the earth is Bodhisattva superior practices. The name superior practices indicates that they are best suited to practice the mystic law in the later day. Why can Bodhisattvas of the earth guide others excellently? Because why? Why is it so? Because they are the one who are directly trained by Shakyamuni Buddha himself in the distant past. Substituting faith for wisdom. I think this is a term which is going to come for sure. That what is the meaning of substituting faith for wisdom? It means that faith, when we chant with the faith, when we conduct a dialogue with a complete faith in mystic law, then that faith in itself awaken the wisdom which is within us, and with that wisdom, we are able to conduct a very powerful dialogue. So if you conduct a dialogue based on the intellectual capability, it will sometimes work, it will sometimes won't work. However, if you really want to move someone's life, change someone's life, then you need to take from the faith, talk with the faith from the faith point of view. You may not be the best articulator, you may not be the best orator, but it doesn't matter. It is a life to life dialogue that happens. So the person in person understand your energy, person understand your vibes and your intent, and that is the only vibe and intent that matters when it comes to changing someone's life. It's not an interview, it's not a dialogue, it's not a debate competition which we need to win, right? So the only way we will be able to arouse the wisdom within us is when we chant with complete faith and we talk with a complete faith in the mystic law. Only after deep faith arises the genuine wisdom comes. Why couldn't bodhisattvas of theoretical teaching be entrusted with propagation? Because they were not taught. First of all, they were not taught about the true cause. They were not taught about the mystic law. They were not aware at all about the mystic law, because they were not trained directly by the Shakyamuni Buddha, and they were trained for the former and middle day of the law. They were also not aware about the mutual possession of 10 worlds, and that's the reason they were not suited for the later day. They may be suited for the former and middle day of the law. That's the reason Nichiren Shakyamuni Buddha entrusted it to Nichiren Daishonin to Bodhisattva superior practices. Namyo Rengekyo is explicitly described as the heritage transferred to Bodhisattva superior practices. So, in the upcoming chapter, we will talk about Buddha of true cause and Buddha of true effect. So, Gautam Buddha is a Buddha of true effect. He talked about everything, but he didn't talk about what made him a Buddha in the remote past. That is the something which he transmitted to Bodhisattva superior practices in the ceremony in the air, and that was a true cause that ultimately led everyone to become Buddha, right? So that was a heritage that was transmitted during the entrustment process to Bodhisattva superior practices. Fire, water, wind, earth, heaven are used to explain why the true nature of universe is compassion. This is very important. If you don't understand it, I'm sure you're going to lose some marks here. And from the point of view of understanding how mystic law works and what is the allegory here is that earlier we talked about the true nature, the true life state of universe is compassion. Very good. Now compassion needs to operate. Compassion needs to operate in the realm of the ordinary living being. So that compassion of universe operates in the life of ordinary human being through the five elements, right? What are these five elements? These five elements are fire, water, earth, wind, and heaven. So, or heaven or space, both are similar. So these are the five elements of the universe through which the compassion is bestowed on the ordinary human being. Fire is something which burns and gives light and warmth. Water cleanses and makes us pure. Wind do away with the dust, and earth provides the nourishment, and space provide the moisture, right? So these are the characteristics of universe through which the compassion is bestowed. So fire, water, wind, earth, heaven are used to explain the true nature of the universe is compassion. Now fire corresponds to compassion because it burns filth and gives light, so it illuminates, it gives the brightness, right? Water corresponds to compassion because it cleanses, it purifies the impurities. Heaven is compassion because it provides moisture to sustain life, it provides rain to sustain life. According to the chapter, these five elements are workings of Myoho Renge Kyo. Why we are saying it is a working, they are working of Myoho Renge Kyo? Because what all the qualities of the universe, the universe life state is compassion, which is getting personified in the form of five elements. All these characteristics are done by Namyoho Renge Kyo as well. Why? Because just like fire gives light and illuminates, similarly Namyoho Renge Kyo, when we chant, the sun rises in our heart and it do away with all the darkness, fundamental darkness of our life, right? Similarly, just like water cleanses, similarly when we chant Namyo Renge Kyo, cleanses and purifies our nine words, it purifies and do away with all the delusion. And just like dust, wind do away with all the dust, similarly when we chant, we do away with all of the dust, all of the earthly desires, and in fact make poison into medicine, right? And similar to like earth provides nourishment, when we chant we get lot of nourishment, we get life force, we get good fortune, we get wisdom to lead our life. And just like space or heaven provides rain or moisture and nourish and nurture, similarly when we continue chanting Namyo Renge Kyo, our life gets nurtured, we are showered with the blessings, and those blessings and those compassion, courage, good fortune, absolute happiness nurtures our life. That's the reason whatever characteristics of the universe are, those characteristics of the universe are exhibited by Namyo Renge Kyo. That's the reason these five elements are workings of Myoho Renge Kyo only. Now, why is salvation said to come from below and not from above? So it is said that in the latter day of the law, there is no deity who is going to come down from the earth or come from above, and ultimately it is something which we need to invoke from within each one of us only, right? So Bodhisattva of the earth has the capability that when they talk to us, when they convinces us, we will be able to understand our vow that we took at Eagle Peak, and ultimately able to summon forth the Buddhahood from within. And there is no deity and no blessings coming from anywhere else but from within our life only. So Bodhisattva of the earth are called possessor of the original law because they possess the mystic law as inner enlightenment. So two words here: inner enlightenment and possessors of the original law. That's something you need to keep in mind. Nichiren calling himself Sun Lotus symbolizes illumination of the world through the mystic law. Why did Nichiren compare himself to superior practices? Because he was the only one who stood up and to propagate the law, just like it was mandated in the Lotus Sutra. And whatever persecution were mentioned in the Lotus Sutra, he went through all of those persecution and challenges while propagating the true law in or the mystic law in the letter day of the law. Later day. Why does Nichiren admonish Siren Bo to practice with the same spirit? Because to inherit the law exactly as transmitted. The four leaders of the bodhisattvas of the earth each correspond to the one of the five elements. So there are, so in the book it is mentioned that at the time of the Eagle Peak, Bodhisattva superior practices was there. Apart from that, there were other three bodhisattvas were also available, and these bodhisattvas ultimately operate among us to help us get all the qualities of the universe, which is compassion, right? I have explained this concept in detail in the video, by the way. Now, superior practice corresponds to fire and transit illusions of burns desires and dispels karma. Okay, so this is something we need to learn. The idea is that fire was one of the element. What was fire used to do? Fire used to burn and illuminate, and that is the characteristic which is personified by Bodhisattva superior practices. So when we are saying that Bodhisattva superior practice correspond to fire, that means he is going to burn away desires and dispel our karma, illuminate our karmic tendencies. Pure practices correspond to water. So when we saying ki pure practices correspond to water, one way to remember this is that okay, Bodhisattva superior practice corresponds to fire. That's something we can remember. The other Bodhisattva is Bodhisattva pure practices. So pure symbolizes with water because water brings purity. It does away with the filth, right? Similarly, so what pure practices would do? Because pure practices will purify and bring forth the pure Buddha life within us. Now, boundless practices corresponds to wind. So, what is boundless? The air is boundless. Air cannot be bounded in anywhere. So, we can remember from the exam point of view, the Bodhisattva boundless practices is correspond to wind. And what was the purpose of wind? To dust away, to do away with all the illusions. So when illusions are gone, what we get? We get freedom. So it will provide us absolute freedom. And firmly established practices corresponds to earth. So what is the firm and strong is earth. So firmly established practices is correspond to earth, and what earth used to do, it used to nourish. So it will ultimately nurture our life force, abundant life force. The four leaders collectively demonstrates that the earthly desires are enlightenment and sufferings of birth and death are nirvana. Their shared name practice signifies that they are inner transformation effort. So if you remember or if you see that all the pure bodhisattvas have a practice within their name. So what kind of a practice we need to do? We need to practice to bring forth Buddhahood from within and also help others do the same. So this is MCQ and kind of a revision for chapter 10. Few fill in the blanks. The objective of Lotus Sutra is to revitalize all people from the depths of their lives. Bodhisattvas of the earth impart hope to suffering people. They believe all people inherently possess Buddha nature. To guide others, they rely on the power of wisdom. True wisdom arises only after deep faith. Namyo Rengekyo is a heritage transferred to Bodhisattva superior practices. The universe true nature is described as compassion. Bodhisattvas of the earth offer salvations arising from below, not from above. Nichiren compared himself to superior practices because he stood up alone. Four leaders have name ending in practice because it defined inner transformation. Let's go through superior practices, pure practices, bounded practices, and firmly established practices. Superior practices corresponds to fire, pure practices to water, boundless to wind, and firmly to earth. What is the function of fire? Fire is to burn desire and illuminate. Water is to purify impurity. Wind is to blow away delusion. Earth is to provide earth is to nurture our life force, and heaven is to provide moisture. match bodhisattva leader and their virtue. So superior practices, pure practices, boundless practices, and firmly established practices. So they also have four virtues: purity, happiness, eternity, and true self. So superior practices corresponds to eternity, pure practices correspond to purity, boundless practice corresponds to true self, and firmly established practice corresponds to happiness. So this is something we need to learn, we need to memorize. Now, some short answer: why are bodhisattvas of the earth are the ones who can accomplish the Lotus Sutra objective? Because they were directly trained by the Buddha himself. Explain why the true nature of the universe is described as compassion, because through the five elements it provide all the things necessary to survive, sustain, and grow. What makes Bodhisattva superior practices uniquely qualified to propagate in the latter day? Because superior practices already possesses the mystic law as inner enlightenment and is trained by eternal Buddha across infinite kalpas, and he was the only one who understood the mutual possession of the 10 worlds. Why does Nichiren urge disciple like Sarenbo to practice with the same spirit as himself? Because inheriting the law requires aligning one's heart with the spirit and vow of the Bodhisattva of the earth. How do four leaders of Bodhisattva of the earth express the principle earthly desires and enlightenment? Because each leader transform an aspects of sansaric suffering. So desire, impurity, illusion, weakness, all these gives us suffering. So they all are getting do away with by the four leaders of Bodhisattvas of the earth. So this is chapter 10. I hope it is of useful to you, and all the very best for the coming exam. Thank you so much.